That's my baby. I'm dying. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they did it. They did it.
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Welcome to the Phlite Zone, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, A2D Radio. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate everything, guys. This little podcast, it was started by me and Evan about 6 months ago. We've been going strong throughout the pandemic, and we are so stoked to be a part of the A2D Radio now. Tonight, on our first episode as a part of A2D Radio, our main discussion will be how will the Philly season end in 2021? Will we make the playoffs? Will we not make the playoffs? Are we going to make the wild card round, NLDS, NLCS, or are we going to take it all this year? I say take it all because that's what I always say. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a little bit of an optimist, but my name's Jimmy Rodweller. I'm about to be attending Rowan University next fall. I'm in the transfer process right now, and I'm ready to kick ass on this podcast. How you doing tonight, Ev?
Hell yeah, man. I'm ready. It's been a long time coming. I'm really proud to be a part of A2D finally. I'm a rower. I attend Marietta College in Ohio. I'm a freshman here, and I'm a sports management major.
So you're going to be replacing Howie Roseman in about 3 years? Is that what I'm hearing? Because he definitely needs a replacement. Or is he just going to stay? Is he going to stay in South Philly until he dies?
We'll get to that a little bit later. Let's talk about some
I swear he's going to be buried next to the Nick and Doug statue. But let's just get right into it. The Philadelphia Phillies, they made a couple of splashes on a couple of players that contributed to a little bit of the excitement last year, and that was Didi and JT. They signed those two guys, and they improved on the bullpen. I'm still a little shaky on that pitching rotation because are we going to win every game by scoring 10 runs? It's really – you can't have just Aaron Nola, who comes up weak, in my opinion, in every game that matters. He needs to start he needs to start stepping up in those games.
Yeah.
Wheeler, he is probably better than Nola. I think he's 2 steps above Nola, especially in the clutch. And then you got Zach Eflin. And then after that, Vinny Velasquez. Spencer Howard. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think of the pitching rotation? I'll start with the pitching rotation.
The pitching rotation, it's not too different from last year. I feel like I said, it's not that different from last year. We got a few guys during the free agency and stuff, but I really think that Nola needs to step up this year. He had a really kind of a shaky year last year. And I think just it's everyone's time to step up this year. Bryce Harper needs to do more. Just as a whole team, there needs to be more.
He's overhated. He's overhated. And we'll get the main theme of the show is going to be overrated and overhated players. We could do players from 50 years ago. We could do players from 20 years ago, and we're going to do players now. Bryce Harper. I predicted him to be the MVP last season during the shortened pandemic season, and that hot take just got thrown right off the stove. He came out of the gates on fire, and then there was just a month stretch where he just disappeared. I don't know where he went. There was something wrong with his batting. I don't know what it was with Bryce, but he just didn't show up. So he needs to be consistent in order for us to at least make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree that he is overhated. I think just because of how his attitude used to be when he played in Washington, he was just like that little brat. I feel like everyone thought he was. Yeah. He did get his payday in Philly, but he, like I said earlier, he does need to step up this year.
Frank Vespi just commented. I want to get on this. Welcome, guys. They made the right moves. I think they're one major bullpen move away to being a playoff team. My only question is who's going to be the fourth starter? Is Spencer Howard going to make that jump? And is Zach Eflin going to carry on that momentum he had from last year? Those are two big question marks that we can't answer. It's going to be the front office. It's going to be the coaching. I don't want to jump on the A2D radio and come out with this take and being a pessimist because I am such an optimist. It's just over the past 10 years, the Phillies were just irrelevant in our lives. When they won the World Series in 2008, I was 10 years old. You were 8 years old, 9 years old.
Yep.
It's just they've just been one of the most irrelevant franchises over the past decade, and it just hurt my soul because honestly, it probably brought me out of my love to play baseball. I used to be very competitive in baseball, and I lost it. I lost all the passion for it, and I think the Phillies are to blame for that, in my opinion. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before. I feel like the Eagles Super Bowl high it got to every other sport in Philly.
It's
we expect a championship now from every other team, which rightfully so for other teams like the Sixers and the upcoming Flyers. But I really hope the Phillies can make some impact, at least make the playoff team. We can't be a fourth seed and we can't be like the fifth place. We can't.
I mean, you look at the Mets. They made some splashes. You look at the Braves. They still have all that power in their lineup. They have a better pitching staff, in my opinion, with Fried and all leading that rotation. You look at the Marlins. They made a big step. Mattingly, he could be up for the coach of the year in NL. It's just we're in one of the toughest divisions, and they need to get one more piece in the bullpen, and they need to get one more solid starter. Now, for the bullpen, they did sign up, or they traded for Alvarado from Tampa Bay, and they got Archie Bradley.
Yep.
Maybe Sir Anthony will come back from the dark. I don't know where he's been over the past 2 years. He had such problems. He just disappeared. But I know they re-signed him. They re-signed Hector Nervis. Maybe he won't be so nervous that he's not the only piece in the bullpen now. And I don't know. I don't know, dude. The Phillies need to come back to relevance because I miss having a red October. Just picture this in 2021. It's fall. Game 162 or whatever, however many games they're going to do, 153 with the COVID. But imagine it's game 153 or 162, and we win a play-in game to make it to the wild card, and we are allowed to host a wild card 1-game elimination winner take all to make it to the NLDS.
Yeah,
that would be just immaculate vibes.
Oh yeah. And another thing I want to add to that, I think the Phillies really haven't had a time to mesh together. They had the 1 year, and then they had COVID with Bryce Harper, and I think that took a toll on a lot of players for the bad side. I really hope they can do something about it and just come together this year, especially the pitching rotation that we have. It's gotten a little bit better, but it still isn't to the standard to be one of the favorites in the East.
Yeah. Somebody just asked us a question. Is there anybody else? There it goes. Is anybody else in free agency you would love to add to the pitching rotation or bullpen? Yeah. It really depends if they are waiting for the trade deadline, which will be whenever it was because of COVID, whether it's July 31st. They got to see which teams that aren't going to make the play. You got to see which teams are going to be sellers. And that's where all of those guys come. So maybe it'll be the Pirates' top bullpen piece or the Royals' top bullpen. Any one of those guys I would love. And that's easy to do. I feel like we're not weak and we're not afraid to spend money now. Our billion-dollar owner isn't afraid to go past the salary cap or go into the luxury tax or whatever. I think signing JT and Didi shows that, and they're all in this year.
Yeah.
Let's just hope the offense can stay consistent, first of all, because if the offense doesn't stay consistent, we're burnt toast. We're bone toast.
Yeah. And another thing I love how you said, like, love to add. I'd love to add anybody besides some of the players we have now. Like, just anybody. Just give anybody a chance now.
Well, we did have the worst bullpen in MLB
history this year. So, but yet again, it was only the couple. There was.
Thank you, Charles.
Half the season and stuff, but
yeah. All right, so let me ask you. You could answer the poll question today. How will the Philly season end in 2021? Knowing what you know now.
Knowing what I know now, I predict that I really hope they can get past the wild card, but I can't be too sure because the teams are looking real good. The Mets looking pretty good. You already know the Nationals they're sometimes they're consistent.
It depends on the pitch.
Or they're inconsistent, but they can be really good at sometimes.
Yeah.
So
That's how they won a World Series.
And every game matters. They have to take this one game at a time if they actually want to make the playoffs. They focus too much on the game after. Like you can't think about it. You just got to win.
Yeah, I'm saying NLDS or bust in Harper's fourth year. So I'm saying NLDS or bust.
That's fair enough.
If they fail, is it going to be another decade? Because we still got Joe Girardi, who we thought that when we first started the podcast, we were stoked to have Girardi, and then Gabe Kapler had more wins than he did. With a roster that was maybe equal.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, it was a shortened season. I feel like Joe Girardi would have had a few tricks up his sleeve had it be like the full season, but we can't really tell for sure. But we'll gauge it. We'll tell.
Maria, we got to remember that the 08 pitching staff wasn't stellar. We had the bullpen to close it out. We need the setup guy like Bradley, or we need a setup guy for Bradley. I think Hector Nervous, now that he is not the top guy and the only guy in the bullpen, he could step up, maybe be the setup guy. And if Sir Anthony returns to the flashiness that he showed 3 years ago, maybe he could be the setup guy, and even Alvarado can be the setup guy. I'm not worried about the top three. It's just what happens if we are fourth into the rotation and Vinny Velasquez has the pitch and he gets rocked by the third inning. That's what I'm saying. Fourth and fifth guy in our rotation, they need to step up, whether that's going to be whoever that's going to be.
And you can't really gauge of how these players would do in a playoff game, but it came down to these like a few games to make the playoffs, and that really shows you right from there.
Yeah.
But I think Vinny, Zach, they've been on the team for a while now. I think they know what's going on. They really need to find their place. Zach Eflin for a few years, we're like saying, okay, he could be a pretty good role pitcher, as you can say. But then he turned inconsistent. Same thing with Vinny. Vinny's a tough ass dude. I showed you that video before. Him getting hit by the ball and then throwing with his left hand, like that's one of the toughest moves I've ever seen.
Yeah,
he's a tough ass, but I don't think he'll be on the rotation this year.
We'll see. Maybe he can be the long reliever, but
yeah, maybe a reliever.
Thank you, Jake. It's okay, Jake. You can disagree. It's the Phillies. They haven't been relevant since 2011. We all got to remember that as well.
Yep.
Got to remember it was a funky year last year, not having a full 162. Yep. You got a small sample size of Girardi. I think you see a different Joey G this season. I agree. I want to agree with that, but he had 17 papers in front of him for each game. And that's another thing for another podcast that we'll talk about. It's analytics ruining sports. That's why Hackstall got fired from the Flyers. That's why Brett Brown got fired from us. All these coaches are just looking at the analytics. And I thought Joey G was old school, but in the closing stretch, he was making some iffy decisions. He was making some iffy decisions. And I know that bullpen was tough to work with, and that's why I just threw everything out the window. I didn't want to blame anything on Joey G. But Girardi has to come in and make all the right moves with this pitching staff until we add another arm or two. Let's move on to Carson Wentz talk, because I want all of our new viewers just to experience my passion for Carson Wentz. I know Carson is he's just falling off with this fan base, and you guys have a right to be upset with him. We got to remember that this was such a tough year for the Eagles in general. It wasn't even just Carson Wentz. It was the roster construction. It was the coaching. It was the 17 different coaches on offense. And when Carson went off to the bench, he was either talking to Nate Sudfeld or Press Taylor. You just got to – everything was just set up for failure on the whole offense, the injuries, the coaching, the roster construction. I truly believe all of this Carson Wentz is a bad teammate, drama, BS is a hot pile of bullshit. I don't see how this could just solely be on Carson. I know you have a different opinion on Carson Wentz. I know 2 years ago you and I were going at it, and that's why we started a podcast. It got personal most of the time because you would come at Carson and I would just I would defend it. What do you think's happening with Carson?
I think with Carson, it was just that whole Super Bowl thing with Doug, and I really think this is mainly on Doug. I do put some of the blame on Carson, as you know. Like I'm a Carson critic. I'm not a Carson hater. I feel like
you were a Carson hater, and then I turned you into a Carson critic.
Hater, but I was kind of a fair weathered fan. But as you say, I really hope Carson Wentz bounces back this year. I really hope he does, but he has to really earn his spot. He has to compete. Yeah, Howie drafted Hurts, but what is he not going to compete with Hurts? He can't go cry in the corner.
Yeah,
he's got to do something about it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for welcoming to the family.
Can't be too soft, man.
Here's I don't think he's definitely not soft physically, and that shows this year.
He took the most sacks.
Mentally, I don't see how you cannot be soft with what this organization has done to him, and I know that people are like, it doesn't matter. We gave him $130+ million. He's supposed to be Superman. You can't expect a guy that has that type of offensive line, and then just mental whereabout of just getting hit. He knows he's going to get hit every single play, and I know he was missing guys, but there has to be a reason for why he went from being the number 3 player in the NFL just 3 years ago to what he is right now. There has to be a reason other than the fact that, he's just a hot pile of garbage. He's not.
Yeah, he's not garbage. No. If you put him in the right system, as we saw, he can do great things. But just this year, we talked about it before in our past podcast, Hurts was the guy to go for in the last 4 games. A lot of people they were calling for it. And I feel like just because of how mobile he is, with how bad our offensive line was, it's almost just destined to be, because Carson Wentz wasn't any more mobile than Hurts was. So I think he just fit well for those last 4 games.
Well, they put Jalen Hurts out there to get killed. And Gavin, I love your profile picture. It's a picture of Carson Wentz holding up a football. Yep. Welcome, boys. Best.
That's your husband, man. That's your husband.
I love Carson Wentz, baby. He's the real deal. I had to put up the jersey in the background today just to show everybody. Michael, for your poll, I'll say agree for now. They won't go anywhere until their pitching staff is addressed. Archie Bradley was a strong start, but they have a long they do have a long way to go. They need to figure out the bottom half of their starting rotation because Aaron Nola has proven to be inconsistent and Zach Wheeler can't pitch every day. So, but going back to Carson, and Jalen Hurts, because I love how you brought up Jalen had to go in those last weeks. He didn't have to. He didn't have to, but it was the right decision because Jalen Hurts is way more athletic than Carson Wentz. He could run faster. He could ball. He could ball unless there's a double spy on him. And I said that from the beginning. I pointed it out. We could go back to our podcasts. I said it's great that he just beat the number 1 defense in the league, being the Saints. But what happens when you get film on him? You see what's been happening to Lamar Jackson. Once those quarterbacks that depends on their feet more than their arm, they're going to fail. When's the last time a running first quarterback won a Super Bowl? You got it. To be a it's never happened. To be a quarterback, a successful quarterback in the NFL, you need to depend on your arm rather than your legs. That's why Russell Wilson has a Super Bowl ring, because he depends on his arm rather than his legs, and he knows when to use his legs in the right situation. He just totally annihilates defense when a spy goes on. Give me Wentz all day. Preach, Jimmy. Tom, I can't agree with you more.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. I really this will become a thing. I feel like more in the midseason. We're in the off season rather, because like I said earlier, Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, they need to compete for this spot. This spot isn't given. Nothing's given.
I disagree. I 100% disagree. He's you gave him $130 million to be your franchise quarterback, and then you gave him dog shit to work with. You gave him absolute dog shit. You gave him no coaching, and I'm going to stay with this for a while. I'm going to be Mr. Excuse Man for Carson. You gave him no Doug Peterson. We were arguing what 12 months ago. 13, 14 months ago, 17 months ago, if he was the top 10 coach in the league, and everybody was all on him. Yeah, he's a year removed from the Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl coach. You got to start. No, I don't. I don't have to start respecting him because his game plans suck. His play calling sucks, and he can't get his receivers open in space. And you drafted a guy, Jalen Reagor, who was great at jumping. That's why they drafted him. They drafted a guy who could jump really high and that could take punt returns. But he's also really fast, and you need to get him open in space, and you didn't draw up plays to get him open. I think Jalen is a great player and person, but I just don't see him throwing missiles to his receivers. I can't agree with you more. It's all about the competition. I don't see how you could not start your $130 million quarterback who is in the MVP discussion. He was on his way to winning the MVP 3 years ago. How you cannot start him with brand new pieces. Jimmy Benner, Joel. We'll talk about the Sixers in a little bit, but I don't think this should be an open competition. I really don't.
I'll keep saying it. I think it really should be, Jimmy. I think it really should be. I know Carson Wentz is coming back with a healthy O-line. He's probably going to be the starter week one because he's getting paid all that money. He's going to be the starter.
That's what's best for our organization. If you play your $130 million guy, that's what's best for your organization. And you're not going to be able to trade him after what just happened with Jared Goff and the Rams and the Lions. Because what? Are you guys willing to trade 3 first-round picks to get rid of Carson Wentz because you just absolutely can't stand the guy? That's why you're not the general manager, because you're not that smart. And that's maybe 45% of the Philadelphia fan base. That they just want to out with the old, in with the new. That's what they want. But guess what? Jalen Hurts is not the answer.
Honestly, I really, really hope we have a preseason. Yeah. And I really hope really hope we have a preseason. Because if Carson Wentz looks like total shit.
But it's the preseason. Nobody plays. Nobody plays.
Jimmy, you make this excuse for everything. Like with Ben Simmons, it's just the regular season. It's just the regulars.
Now you want to get into
just the regulars. Every game matters, Jimmy. Every game matters.
In football, yes. In basketball, no. The basketball regular season does not matter. All you need to do is just come in, lollygag, and win a couple games so that you could become a top 3 seed in your conference.
All right, Jimmy. All right.
Do you want to talk about Ben Simmons right now?
Let's do it.
All right. Somebody just asked me, Ben or Joe.
Which one is it, Jimmy? You told me last year.
Right now,
my boy got swept last year. You said my boy got swept. My boy Joel Embiid, the process got swept, and you're clowning him.
I would lose all of my credibility of talking about sports if I did not choose Joel Embiid, because right now he is the MVP in the league. And before the season started, I said in our other podcasts, Joel Embiid is a dark horse to win the MVP. And I said that.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm picking Joel Embiid. 8 months ago, I was picking Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is an interesting guy. He could cover any position on the floor, whether it's point guard or center. The answer is both. Yes, the answer is both, Ryan. I do not want to get rid of either of them. Evan, on the other hand, does want to get rid of Ben Simmons. And he could defend that point till the day he dies. But I just don't think that's smart, in my opinion. I think that Ben and Joe have never played elite basketball at the same time. And I feel like we're starting to see that, because Joe is playing at a level that we've never seen him play before. He's back to his second-year self. And the only thing that needs to happen is Ben needs to show up with his stats, I guess, because that's why people are hating him. And he is getting a little handsy with the fouls. I will give you that. But the fact that he had 4 steals the other night and 2 blocks or whatever it was, that shows you that he can't trade him.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
who would you trade him for? Because I know you want to get rid of him.
I was hoping actually last year we would trade him for Booker. I think Booker and Embiid would have been a pretty good duo. But then
Do you want to?
I did. All right.
Yeah, answer that question.
Did I want Harden? Hell yeah, I wanted Harden. Hell yeah, I wanted Harden. Ben Simmons doesn't shoot. He can't shoot free throws. Can't shoot jumpers. Can't shoot threes. Yes, he plays great defense. Great defense. But
top 3 defender in the league.
I mean, the Sixers are a top 5 defensive teams.
All right,
Without Ben Simmons, the Sixers will be a top 10. They won't be a top 5. They'll be a top 10, and that's enough to beat the Nets. The Nets defense is crazy bad.
This is my only question. Who is guarding Jaylen Brown when we play hang on. First question. Who has been the bane of our existence since Joel and Ben have brought the Sixers back to life? The Celtics. Who's guarding Jason Tatum? When you trade Ben Simmons for whoever it is, whether it's Zach LaVine and Lauri McCartan, whether it's Bradley Beal, which won't happen, or whether it's Devin Booker, who's guarding Jason Tatum?
Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris, baby.
All right, Tobias. Who's guarding Jaylen Brown? Furkan?
Matisse, baby.
Matisse? But Matisse is a part of the trade, though.
No, he's not. He won't be. He won't be.
Ben's trade value is gone right now. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Honestly, I told you this last year when Ben Simmons' value was really, really high. I said we should have traded him, and now that it's lowered because he literally can only play defense and pass, and he's pretty much big passer guy, pretty much Dwight Howard, who can who's a little quicker and plays a little better defense. Like
Tom, Evan wanted LaVine and Markkanen for Ben.
I didn't say that.
You said that a couple weeks ago.
I heard about it.
You heard about it, and then I asked you, and you said maybe. I wouldn't put it past him. If the Sixers had Harden, they'd score all day, but so would the opposing. Yeah, you see it. What happened with the Nets the other night? They dropped 140 something points, and the other team dropped 140. 40 something points. I don't know if the Nets ended up winning, but the Nets don't play defense. Harden does not play defense. It's lackadaisical. It's lackadaisical defense, and once the defense starts to tighten up in April and May, that's when heart comes out. And I feel like Ben Simmons has a lot of freaking heart. He may not shoot a jump shot, but he has heart, and he will play every defensive play with 110%. Simmons will not be traded.
He won't be. He won't be. Now that they beat the Lakers, I feel like that he won't get traded. Yeah, that doesn't mean I don't want him to get traded, but we'll just leave that.
All right. So we'll never say Zach LaVine again. I'm sorry, Tom. Thanks, Frank. But that's a pretty interesting conversation that I would like to have with Tom, maybe on some other day, because I don't know what's wrong with Zach LaVine. I feel like he's a decent player. I feel like he'd fit with us, but not if it means we're getting rid of Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons.
So you think he is overhated?
Ben Simmons?
Yeah.
110%. I think Carson Wentz is overhated. I think Ben Simmons is overhated. Bryce Harper is overhated nationally. I don't think he's hated locally, but I think nationally he's definitely overrated or overhated. Tom hates LaVine. This is hilarious.
Oh my god. The biggest weakness is I still think it's that backup center. I do think Dwight Howard is a great defender, but I just think if you just hack Dwight and make him shoot free throws, he shoots free throws like 10 steps behind the free throw line. I think he'll just keep missing. I don't know. Simmons has 2 left feet. but yeah, I think backup power forward is a valid one. Mike Scott, who has been injured, he can play a role with that the power forward spot. But we also run a small.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think there's any holes in our roster right now. Once the games start to mean more, the playing time, the what's the words I'm looking for? The rotation is going to shrink. There's going to be 7 to 8 players playing, maybe 9. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, it's going to be Ben, Curry, Danny Green for some god-awful reason, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid starting. And then coming off the bench, you got a lot of the same player coming off the bench, and we've said this previously. You got Shake, who I love. Shake. I just want to see him go up. You could give me Levine for free, and I would stop watching. that is very interesting. That is very. But anyway, you got Shake, who was looking like the sixth man of the year 5 games into the season. Hopefully, he can keep that up. Games matter. You got Matisse. You have your boy Furkan, who I don't think he will be in the playoff rotation. I don't know why. He shrinks in small games, with the exception of last night. He went off last night. I will give you that against him. But let's talk about that game. After we're done discussing this playoff rotation, you're going to have 3 to 4 guys that will be in the playoff rotation, all coming off the bench. So I definitely think it's going to be Shake. I don't know if you got to choose between Maxey and Furkan, because you look at all these successful teams in the NBA playoffs, they're not playing 10 to 11 guys to win 16 games. You're going to be playing eight guys. And I just feel like you have so much to choose from that you don't need to worry about the backup power forward position, because if Tobias goes out, Ben can stay in, because Ben can guard 1 through 5 on the court. I think backup center is the biggest concern right now, but I would not add anybody.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But I do think we might have a few moves and before the trade deadline. I do think JJ would be valid, but at the same time, his defense is totally a liability.
We need JJ.
It's totally a liability.
I mean,
last year we saw it 2 years ago. We saw it last year. It's really bad. But
I'd rather have JJ than Furkan.
Stop.
What? JJ is a better shooter. He is having a down year right now, but his down year is Furkan's best year. I'm just saying.
You're a professional Corky hater, man. You're a professional hater of Furkan Cork mods. I'm gonna get you to stand him by the end of the year.
He strikes in big game.
Yeah.
Evan is in love with Corky.
Dude. He's showed up in big games, dude. Blazers game last year. Jacks up the 3.
What did that get us to? A 4-game sweat because our boy Joel Embiid couldn't carry. If Ben was in and Joe was out, we would have gotten at least one game.
Yeah, but that really doesn't matter. But back to that Simmons thing, you were saying that
JJ's playing.
Simmons is ready for playoff basketball. I did see some nice things from Ben against the Raptors, but 2 years ago, scored 1 point in the playoffs, and then he didn't play last year in the playoffs. So
professional Ben Simmons haters will always bring up, yeah, he could score 1 point in a playoff game. That's okay. You're a professional Ben Simmons hater. Give me it looks like Tom.
Yes,
Tom Burke or Zach LaVine. Burke or Zach? Because I'm taking. I feel like I would take LaVine. What would you do for Con Lover?
I don't know.
You don't know. There is one answer here. There's only one right answer.
That's a hard one.
No, I'm taking. No.
Honestly, I think Furkan will be in the lineup. I think that Furkan, Shake, and Matisse, I think they're pretty important. They play a pretty important role of coming off the bench right now, and we're seeing they're stepping up. They stepped up last game. 1 point. Yeah, I know you like that, Jimmy. But no, we talked about it. Simmons, he had a pretty good game yesterday against Pacers, as he should. He should have games like that every day. But we've resorted to standing games that when he has a 5, 5, and 9 stat line, as I like to bring out to Jimmy. But
it's the most horrifying. Yeah, look. If we get JJ Redick, he's not going to be starting like he did 2 years ago. He's going to be coming off the bench, and I feel like a nice 10 to 12 minute spark per game is a lot better.
He's hot, dude.
Exactly. He can get way hotter than freaking Furkan. It's not even I don't even think this should be like a debate. I think I know JJ Redick is a better shooter than Furkan. Maybe he is having a down year here, but if he comes back to a place where he loves, because him and Joe are best friends, and I feel like it would actually help Joe a lot, if even more than what he is right now. It would definitely help Joe a lot if JJ were to come and play a significant role coming off the bench come playoff time.
I do think, sorry to cut you off, but I do think it is important that we have that guy who can pick roll and just shoot. not having to stand and shoot. Furk, he can do that, but JJ can do it at a little bit more consistent level.
Yeah.
That catch and shoot, I think that's really important with the team we have right now.
Yeah.
And I talked about it before. I wouldn't be mad if we signed Ilya Silva.
I would.
I really wouldn't be mad.
I don't like
that
Mac Truck face.
Power forward position. Maybe we wouldn't even play games. Maybe we run that small lineup as soon as Joel goes out or something. I don't hate that signing. I
could drop 20 on JJ right now, even in the snow. LOL. He's not going to be in the game for 30 plus minutes. He's going to be in the game for 12 minutes at the most. And if out of those 6 minutes he hits 3 or 4 threes for us, I'm taking that because Furkan has proven to be inconsistent in big games. How many more years are we going to take of Furkan Korkmaz shrinking? I can't take it no more. JJ Redick has proven that he could take over a game in the matter of 3 possessions. It would help out Joel Embiid a lot. It would help out Ben Simmons a lot. Yes, Ilya Silva.
Dude, that he takes the charges. Dude, it's beautiful.
It looks like he took a Mack truck to the face.
It's beautiful.
I just did. When he was here 4 years ago, he was a certified ball hog. He'd make 1 3 and then he'd like think he's like Irsan Jordan. I don't understand how he could like just throw up dumb shots. He was a certified just heat check guy.
But once he made them, he was consistent with it.
That's what I'm saying about JJ Redick.
That's why he beat out Sarge for the starting job.
All right.
For the first half of the year. That year.
That's what I don't think we need a backup for. I really don't.
Fair enough.
Y'all would think I'm Lou Williams off the bench for JJ. I'll drop 20 in 12 minutes. All right. If JJ comes off the bench, I feel like it would have to be a package deal with Matisse. So you have maybe Ben, JJ, Matisse. I don't know. Somebody else, and then either Joe or Dwight. Not every player on the opposing team is going to have the ability to just drop 15 points down JJ Redick's throat in the span of 10 to 12 minutes. It's just not. And you especially saw the zone. That really helped last night. It's what carried the Heat through their season. It's what got them so far. Is that zone? That 2-3 zone is actually turning into something, and we could talk about that during another day. But the 2-3 zone is actually a very interesting concept.
I think we really need to bring up the fact that we're having a much better year. It's definitely because of the coaching.
Oh yeah, because
if that was Brett Brown last year, he would have ran the same exact offense. Said, just keep shooting, just keep giving it to Curry, give it to Danny, and just keep shooting. Yeah. But no, he switched up. He ran the 2-3, and we prospered from that. And Jimmy, I wasn't watching after the first quarter. I was like, yeah, this game's over. And then I know you weren't watching it for a little bit either, like because you were a little upset. I was upset too. At the end, I watched the fourth quarter. I was like,
I turned it off. I turned it off when we were down by 18 in the third. I put on the Flyers.
Yeah,
but somebody just said JJ won't come off the bench. He's not a bench player. Yes, he is. He's coming off the bench in New Orleans right now. He's 35 years old. He shouldn't expect to be a starter, especially with the team that we have right now.
Mm-hmm. Especially since Curry's shooting at such a high level and JJ shooting at not a great level, a career level actually.
Tom, I love the 2-3 zone last night. I feel like that's a trend that the Heat started last year. That it's only going to go up from here. I was laughed at in pickup basketball at Chestnut Hill College when we would get roasted in man-to-man. I would say, hey, let's just go to a 2-3 zone, and people would laugh at me. My teammates would laugh at me. The 2-3 zone is hard to figure out because if you have 2 quick guys on your wings that can close out for the 3, that's lethal. Just look at Syracuse. They're somehow, some way, just make it far and far into the tournament every single year because they play that 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If JJ were to come into the game, I think we would have to make the switch to a 2-3. JJ's too old and his rhythm is type shooter. Those don't mix for what we need. Yes, he's currently coming off the bench and is shooting the out. Yes, he is, but he's also with New Orleans. It's a totally different roster, and if he comes back to a place that he's comfortable with Ben and Joe and Tobias, why not? Why not?
Mm.
And somebody asked, who would you trade for? I'd give him Furkan. You have Tyrese, you have Shake. Why do you need Furkan?
Because next year we're probably going to need a shooter off the. We're going to need
Tyrese.
Tyrese hasn't been proved to be that great of a 3-point shooter.
He's 19 years old.
I know.
He's a baby. He's a pup. And if you wanted to trade Ben Simmons and you wanted Tyrese to be the starting point guard in playoff basketball, 19 years old. I told you this from the beginning. Basketball players do not win until they're at least 28 years old. We have 2 young studs that are entering their prime before 28 years old. Why would you not want to save them? Mm-hmm. Why would you not? I love Tyrese Maxey's energy as well.
Yeah, he's like the second coming of TJ McConnell. I can say it,
but better. TJ
McConnell
is my guy. But
I can see that.
But Tyrese Maxey, he is what Markelle Fultz was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And him next to Ben is going to be something to watch for the next 10 years if we are to keep Ben Simmons. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
And I really hope Maxey doesn't go the Ben route and actually develops a 3-point shooter or a 3-point shot.
Oh, yeah. He's willing to shoot the ball. The only issue with Ben is he's not willing to. There's something wrong with Ben Simmons mentally.
He's like baby Rondo right now. I feel like.
Who? Maxey or
Maxey?
Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maxey.
A much better shooter and finisher than Rondo.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This roster is just. I feel like it's fine the way it is, but I would be happy to see JJ Redick here. Mm-hmm. I would be happy. More Corky hate, LOL. Corky is only making $3 million, so you need another 10 to make that trade. And why would New Orleans do that deal? You would need at least 3 players from your bench to go in that deal. And I know that
Mike Scott.
You got a bunch of pieces on that bench that you could get. I'm not worried about the money. I'm really not. I know I'm just a college kid making whatever I'm making. Money's just money to them guys. It shouldn't be a problem if we really want to get JJ. Maxey's a hard worker. He will get there with the 3 ball. Yes. Yeah. Maxey is going to be I think he's going to be a star in this league. I really do. I see it. I made a college highlight reel for him for one of my friend's projects. I saw a lot of potential in Kentucky in the shortened season, and we're seeing it now this year. He's the only issue is Furkan's taking his minutes. Your boy's taking Maxey's minutes. And I don't understand the Furkan Korkmaz experiment. I really don't. But
he can shoot the 3. He can shoot the 3. And that's what we need. That's what we needed for the last 3 years. We needed shooters.
Yeah.
And he can shoot. He can shoot better than Maxey. The 3 ball at least. He can shoot the ball. And games like that, like you had yesterday, I just think that solidifies at least some playoff minutes for him.
Yeah. So Ryan says Mike Scott, Ferguson, and Furkan for JJ. That would work with the money. Yeah, I do that with the snap of my finger. Because you don't need Furkan. You got Matisse. You got Maxey. Plus JJ would be another veteran for the playoffs. I think we're
for 1 year.
What would that? They got the 1 year. JJ would be 1 year. And if he happens to show up, maybe we sign him to another 1 year deal. Why not? Mm-hmm. Why not? And you don't need to rely on him to be the only 3-point shooter because you have Curry, and Curry's having a career year. And I was wrong about that in our other podcasts. I thought Curry was just another guy off the street that could shoot the 3 ball. I didn't know he was going to be going off like this. Mm-hmm. So that was my bad.
I mean, I was kind of expecting it. I will give a lot of props to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has been setting him up pretty well. Yeah, I feel like just that pick and roll, like, again, I love it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's really what's going to make or break the team come playoff times. If you can solidify that pick and roll, and you can be consistent on that 3-point as Tobias Harris is, and Curry, and sometimes Danny Green, depends on which night. I really think they can do some damage.
Yeah. Let's go back to the theme of our show tonight. It is overrated or overhated. What do you think about Tobias the Friendly Ghost? Is he overrated or overhated?
Oh, he's definitely overhated. I feel
overhated?
Overhated. Hated. I mean, he is getting a fat deal. He is getting a fat deal.
Yeah.
The deal he's at right now, he's playing how he should be. Last year's Tobias Harris would be overrated because he wasn't playing up to the potential level he was at to get that money, you know?
I just don't think 2.5, 3 weeks into the season, that just makes up for the BS that he put up last year. The fact that Ben was out and Tobias was our second best player in the bubble. And again, it's the bubble. You could take the bubble for what you want. I think that was just a fake championship, just a fake ring for LeBron. We'll talk about that on another day. I didn't like the vibes of the bubble. No fans, no traveling. That really puts a toll on the away teams. It puts a toll on both teams. And I feel like that's why all of our teams have failed us this year, because we haven't been in the stadium to yell at them. It's just that simple. But the fact that Tobias couldn't show up at least one game during the 4-game season, now I'll give him props when he landed on his face and then came back into the game. That showed some guts. I was a Tobias fan for about 5 minutes after that happened, but that was it. Now he is showing up this season, but he's definitely overrated. But if he keeps showing up the way he's been showing up for this season, and we win a championship during his contract, then I will switch it to overrated. But for now, he's got to stay overrated with the BS he put up last year. And
I can agree with that just from last year's standpoint. I think it is kind of early. Tobias Harris has those years where he'll be really, really hot at the beginning of the year, and then he'll kind of hit like a stump in the middle of the season, like right after the All-Star game. But I think if he makes an All-Star spot, I can say he's really, really he's not overrated, man. I just can't put him that overrated right now. I can't. It's a new season, like you said. It's a new season. It's kind of pretty much after COVID, after bubble, and I feel like the Sixers, if they had fans in the stadiums now, they do better.
Even at the Wells Fargo this year, they only have one loss.
Yeah,
and they have the best home record. They have the best home record in the league.
And the only reason why we have that loss is because we didn't have any of the starters.
Yeah.
So
yesterday was the first game where we won without Joe in the starting lineup.
Yep, 1-4 without Joel. Yeah. So I think that was a very interesting. Let's talk about that game. Actually, I was watching the highlights right after the game
because we turned it off.
I was watching the Flyers, so I was a little bit more invested with that. But they came out hot. They came out hot shooting. I thought it was
8-0 run.
Very surprised. They went on the 8-0 run with Curry and then Harris hitting a 3 and they were just. I was like, okay, I like this. I like this energy. I know it wouldn't keep up, and then the Pacers go on like a 20-2 run, and then we're losing by 10. So
and it was just down from there until halfway
until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we came back.
2-3 zone, man.
We had to do. Yeah,
it's a 2-3 zone. I'm telling you, I feel like I could be a coach. I see these things before it happens. I'm just like that. I'm different in a way. No, I'm just kidding. But I think last night shows you that this Sixers team is different. It's different from the past 3 to 4 years, and it's Doc, it's Sam Cassell, it's all those guys in the coaching staff that are It's a good mixture of young guys and a decent amount of veterans. That's why I want JJ, because I feel like we're one veteran away from really making a run this year.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I feel like that one player would set us over the edge instead of being like favorites to win. We'd be like, we're like probably number 3 right now. They'd probably put us at, but then you'd probably put us like number 2, number 1, because they're not going to put us above the Lakers. We can beat them by 100 points. They still wouldn't, just because they have LeBron, the LeBron effect.
Another reason why I'm glad we didn't trade for Harden. It's refreshing to see the Sixers win games that matter. Yeah, it definitely is, Frank. Another thing why I'm happy that we didn't get Harden, and I'm happy that Bradley Beal isn't going to be a Sixer, because it's just not going to make any sense for the Wizards to do that if they end up getting Ben and Russ. But I'm happy that it's not going to mess up the chemistry that we have, because I feel like we have the best chemistry in the league right now. I feel like they're playing with each other and they're having fun. And that starts with the big man Joe, and it starts with our point guard Ben.
Mm.
The veterans are trusting in those guys.
Mm. I really hope Joel doesn't get too cocky. I don't think he will, but I really hope he doesn't go back to –
yeah.
I mean, if he can back it up and score 40 points every night, so be it. I'll take it. But I just can't stand those trolls after that 7-game series against the Toronto. Like, all I saw, I couldn't be on social media for a week after I saw it. I just couldn't. That was a big mental block for, I think, every single Philly Sixers fan, at least I can say. But that really sucked today.
So I want to say one final thing about Carson, and then we can maybe transition into the Flyers a little bit before we head out. We're going to have a nice little podcast. I'm already calling it. We're going to have a nice little podcast after week 1 of the NFL season when Carson drops 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And it's going to be everybody apologizing to me for all the DMs that I've gotten during games, all the texts that I got during games that just ruined my Sundays even more than they already were. It was look at your boy. He sucks. Get him out of the league. He's going to pay $100 million to do that. And I just can't wait for the Monday after week 1 when Carson puts the team on his back and just wins. I'm just so ecstatic. I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic for Sirianni too, and we'll talk about that next week.
Oh,
is this Jimmy's first hot take? I am sure this will age well. I think it is going to age well. I really think I will put money that Carson Wentz would. I will put good money that Carson Wentz will become Black Player of the Year. I'm calling it now. I called it with Joel, and people were looking at me like I had 3 heads that Joel would be the MVP. This is my second hot take. Carson Wentz will win Comeback Player of the Year. We will win the division, and he will have a phenomenal week 1 performance. No one here forgets.
What about all the other weeks?
Well, he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year, so he's going to have to keep that up. So. Yeah.
We'll see about that. About that. We really will.
Let's do a little bit of Flyers talk before we close out the show. We can't forget our 4th child. They had a great 4-game stretch against the Devils and the Islanders, and I'm loving this NHL season right now. I love the back-to-back games. I love that we're just playing division opponents, and I love that we are the hardest division in the league. And the fact that we're on top, it just shows you everything. It shows you that this team is for real. But I will always say, I'm so glad there's still support for Wentz. Thought I was alone. You won't be alone. I will carry the Wentz love to my grave. Anyway, I think we're one grinder away with the Flyers from being legit contenders, because you saw it against the Islanders in game 1. They had the best they had the best period of the season in period 1, first game against the Islanders, and then they just fell apart. I don't understand. And they need Wayne Simmons. I want Wayne Simmons back for this year.
Yeah, that would
I think he is that one guy, that one 4th line guy that we're waiting for. Pair him up with Raffle and Obey Kubel, and let's go. Let's go to the Cup. I'm ready to walk down Broad Street with a Flyers Cup. I've gotten the Philly. It'll happen no matter what. I'm just never mind.
They are one defensive player, one bruiser, like you said, away from being back up top. I think. Yeah, and I think having Goff spare back was a pretty big boost in our defensive. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
No. He's a great scorer. He's a great offensive creator, but he gives the puck up way too much in the offensive or in the defensive and in the neutral zone. And that can't happen in the playoffs. Hopefully, I know he had a great play in overtime the other day, but there's just so much bad in the neutral zone that cancels out all the good he does.
And another thing is Couturier's out. Couturier was the facilitator. He was the guy. He was pretty much the quarterback of the team, and he's probably one of their most important players on the team. You can say, and having him not out there it hurts.
Yeah, and once he's back, I feel like it'll just go up from there. but I want Wayne Simmons back.
Mhm.
And by the way, I'm not for the Gossesbear slander. I actually purchased a Gossesbear T-shirt when I was a sophomore in high school when he had that little run when he was a rookie.
Yeah.
I loved Gossesbear, but that was when the Flyers were bad. Now we're good. I don't know, man. He needs to significantly improve his defensive game to play playoff hockey. That's why he wasn't in the lineup in the bubble.
Yep.
So,
and another thing I kind of wanted to bring up is Konechny getting benched the other day.
yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
AV, man, he
doesn't mess around.
He's my favorite coach in the city.
Yeah.
He is definitely my favorite coach in the city. He is that old school blue collar coach that doesn't care about repercussions of doing whatever. You saw it with JVR in the bubble last year. He was benching him because he had bad games or whatever, or he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And he will bench guys if he feels like they're not accountable for what they want to do. And that is the number one thing that a successful coach just pushes into their players. It's accountability. Yeah. Because these guys are making millions upon millions of dollars, but if they're not accountable for their actions or their mistakes in games, or they're just doing their jobs, there needs to be punishments for that. And AV, he doesn't care. He does not care. He will bench Giroux if that's what he thought was needed. And you saw that with Konechny. Because Konechny, I don't know. He's having a solid season, but he must have done something in practice. He must have done something in a game that we didn't see that just caused AV to snap. I feel like AV has some anger issues. I just feel that vibe from him. I love it. I'm all for that. But
I think that's what a coach should be. Honestly, a coach should be on your ass. And a coach should be on your ass 24/7 throughout the whole game, no matter what. Like, if that's what it takes to win, I think the player should respect that. And he wants to win a title.
Before we go, I would like to just thank all of our viewers and listeners tonight. It was a great first show. Thank you guys so much for welcoming us to the family. I just want to say that I feel like good things are coming. Good things are going to be coming in Philly sports. We got to stay optimistic with the Eagles. The Flyers and the Sixers are in first place, and the Phillies are maybe 2 or 3 pitchers away from being legit. That's all I got to say about that tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Phlite Zone.
Yep.
Have a great one.